Hi guys, today I'm going to do my June wrap up and my July TBR. Sorry I missed a video last week or maybe for the past 2 weeks. I honestly had the craziest June. A lot of it was really good things. I had my boyfriend's birthday, our anniversary, we saw Ed Sheeran in London, I went on holiday at the end of it. Work was also really busy because I was managing my first event, so every aspect of my life was busy basically. The weekends, the work time, after work, it was just all a bit crazy, which meant I didn't read as much as I had hoped to, but I am pretty happy with what I did read. And overall I'm pretty happy with the months. At the start of the month I finished off A Quart of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J Maas. I'm not going to talk too much about it here because after this video I'm going to film a full review of it because I just have a lot of opinions on it, which doesn't always happen with books that warrant a full review by themselves, but I definitely had my problems with it. I'd give it like 2.5, 3 stars. Overall I really just wasn't a huge fan. It pretty much slumped me even though it's such a tiny book and I listened to the audiobook. It was just so boring, nothing happened and it didn't serve any purpose, but check out my review once it's up next week to hear more about that. After that I picked up Restore Me by Tahereh and Mafi, which is the 4th book in the Shatter Me series. I wasn't actually hugely in the mood for this because I just read kind of a trashy YA romance type book with A Quart of Frost and Starlight, and this kind of felt like more of the same, but for some reason I picked this up. I think I was maybe at my boyfriend's, it was the only book I had to start, so I started it and I didn't finish it before my holiday, so I've kind of been slowly reading this all month, listening to the audiobook and reading it physically. I actually finished this one today, so it's very fresh in my mind. The first half of the book was definitely like 3 stars. I was so bored, kind of like A Quart of Frost and Starlight, and nothing was happening. And I am interested in the characters and want to hear more about how they're getting on since the trilogy finished, but it just, nothing was happening. It was really boring and I wasn't really invested in the story because there wasn't any. And I did enjoy seeing the characters again, but all that kind of spark and mystery of the trilogy had just gone. And I was thinking, right, I'm not going to carry on this series after this book, like I'm just not really interested. But then it did really pick up around the 300-page mark. A pretty dramatic sort of plot point happens, which is interesting, and things are kind of slowly building up, and it definitely builds to this huge crescendo of a cliffhanger at the end, which if you've read it you will know is pretty extreme, and it was honestly kind of gruesome. I wasn't really expecting it, kind of grossed me out a little bit. The highlight of this book was definitely Kenji and Juliet's friendship. I loved that. I also loved hearing Warner's voice. I loved his point of view in this book and I think it was done really well. It was very distinct from Juliet, which I appreciated. And it did add more to the story, but after the cliffhanger I do want to read the next book because now I'm really interested. To be fair, this did happen with Shatter Me. Shatter Me I was not that bothered. Then I think it had a cliffhanger that made me want to pick up the second one and then I was hooked. So hopefully that happens with this trilogy, but yeah, I'd give it like a 3.5 stars. After that, my holiday book was Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pestle, which you haven't seen me haul because I bought it like the day before my holiday. I was just really excited to read this book and it felt like the perfect holiday book, just something like YA, fast-paced, short and contemporary. This was actually the only book I finished on holiday, even though I also took Ramona Blue and The Young Elites. This is the only one I got round to because we had a really busy holiday actually. We did a lot and every single time I was on a plane or on a bus where I could read, I fell asleep. So I didn't actually have much time to read, but I finished this on the way home from holiday. I had a great time in Spain, by the way. Yeah, this is Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pestle. At first when I started reading it I didn't really know what I was getting myself in for because I thought it was like a murder mystery thing, and then it went kind of time travel, sci-fi, not really sci-fi, but like time travel aspect to it, which I wasn't expecting, but I did really enjoy. I think it was done really well. It explained quite a confusing concept really easily and it made it really engaging, like you just wanted to keep reading. It was the most like fast-paced book. It was so good. It's not that long either. I thought by fairly quick in that I knew what was going to happen as well, so I was very happy when I was wrong in that assumption, and overall I was happy with the ending. It felt a little bit almost unfinished. There was a bit of a twist and I felt like that wasn't really properly resolved, and there was kind of a key part of the Neverworld Wake thing that was never really explained at the end, which kind of left me with a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. But overall I did really enjoy this and I would give it 4.5 stars. So they are the 3 books I read in June. Overall I'm quite happy because I enjoyed them all for the most part and I don't feel slumpy anymore. And my next few months are definitely a lot quieter than June was. June was just insane. The first book I'm definitely going to finish in July, I think, is Flamingo Boy by Michael Morpurgo, and that is because my boyfriend started reading this out loud on holiday to the both of us, which was really cute because it's just a really well written story. And it just kind of feels like it needs to be read out loud, and he enjoys doing that kind of thing. So he's reading it out loud to us. I'm not sure how far in we are. I'd say around 100 pages or a bit less. Overall, I'm absolutely loving this. It's about this character that kind of goes on a journey to, I think, sort of explore the world, and then he gets ill and he's taken in by two people. I can't remember both their names, but they're kind of elderly, and one of them is autistic and obsessed with flamingos, and then the woman in that pair starts to explain their life story, and that's kind of, it's like a framing narrative for the whole book, and that's where we've got to, is kind of her getting into her story. So far I'm really enjoying it. It's themes of like war and suffering and communication and all these kind of things, which I'm just really enjoying, and it's so beautifully written, and I can't wait to hear the rest of it from my boyfriend reading it. I also want to read Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig because I recently purchased his latest book, Notes on a Nervous Planet. I had it pre-ordered so I could get a signed copy. It's beautiful. I'll put a picture here because it's somewhere out of reach. I'm not sure where I've put it, but it's not here. But this is kind of what came before that book, and I don't think they're going to directly follow on, but I just think it would be good to read this one first. All I really know is that this is a lot about mental health, and in a way it's kind of advice, but I think it's also Matt Haig's kind of personal story about mental health. I absolutely adore him on Twitter. I adore him as a person. I love his writing. This is really small, so I think this will just be like a quick, quite hard-hitting read for July. I feel like you can't do summer without a little bit of romance, and I was looking at a lot of them on my shelves and just not really feeling them, and then I saw Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour, which I got fairly recently. I think I got it about 6 months ago. I've just heard really good things about this. It'll be my first female romance, which I'm excited to read because I've never read a lesbian character, which just seems insane to me, or maybe they're bisexual, I'm not sure, but either way it's insane. I haven't read that before. I've definitely read gay men, but I've never read this, so that will be interesting. And I like the setting of this. I think it kind of has this like Hollywood film studio thing going on with it. I'm not too sure, but it doesn't seem very long. I think it'll be a really like light, cute read. That's what I'm hoping it is. I don't mind if it's got a bit of depth, but I'm hoping it's light and fluffy as well. To completely contrast the light and fluffy tone of that, I also want to read Forgive Me Leonard Peacock by Matthew Quick. I don't know why, I'm just kind of in the mood to read quite a lot of like short, quick books, and I just keep eyeing these up on my shelves recently. It just looks like I'll fly through it. I don't know too much what it's about, apart from I think it's kind of really sad. I think it's a boy that wants to kill himself, and I'm not sure if he wants to shoot other people and take people down with him, something like that. I think it's going to be quite a difficult read. I remember Amy reading this and really enjoying it and saying it was really sad. I haven't read a Matthew Quick book yet, so I'm really hoping I enjoy this, and I think I'll fly through it despite the more serious tone of it. I haven't been doing too well with reading my 12 books in the 12 months of 2018 goals. I think I've read 3 or 4 of them. I think I was really good at sticking to it at the start of the year. I read like The Hate You Give and Ready Player One. And then from kind of March I got a little bit slumpy. I haven't been reading as much as the start of the year, and I think I sort of dropped off the ball, and I look at quite a few of them and I just don't want to read them, not in the mood for them, but I am in the mood for this book finally. Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I'm just in the mood for a fantasy, and I was going to start a new YA fantasy series. I was thinking of picking up The Young Elites by Mary Lou, or The Fallen Kingdom, something like that. But this just appeals to me, partly because it's on that list of books I want to read this year, but also it's a standalone, which is just nice because I'm not getting too invested in a huge series that's just gonna mean I'm buying more books and investing a lot of time. It's just like one standalone, and it seems really big because it's a hardback, but it's only just over 400 pages, so it's not that bad. I think this is a pretty realistic goal, and I can get the audiobook as well, so I think that will help motivate me to get through this. It just seems like a really interesting concept. I can't properly remember. I think it's like a guy called Dragon lives in the tower and he takes a girl every year, something like that. I don't know. I've heard good things, and this is one of my absolute favourite covers of all time, so I hope it lives up to the beautiful cover. So these are the books I'm hoping to read in July. It feels like a little bit more of a doable TBR than last month. Some of those books might carry over. I am still interested in reading like Ramona Blue and Private Peaceful and Meddling Kids and all the ones I mentioned last month, but all these just catch my eye at the minute, and I'm part of the way through this, and these three are very quick, and then I'm going to start this one probably tonight. So for once, I would just like to complete my TBR. It sounds crazy, I know, but I would just like to actually read all of these. I like being ambitious and setting myself goals because it definitely motivates me, but I do just want to finally finish my TBR because I've just not had a great few reading months. I've done okay, I've been reading 2 or 3 things, but I just want to read like 5 books and just be back on the reading hype. And I think finally now life is calming down a little bit for me. It'll be doable. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books. I'd love to know your opinions on them, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!